Now, let's talk about some of the problems, and don't interrupt me this time. Now, I was tortured and abused. My IQ is very high. So I don't just walk around and deal with things in a very light way. And I always run it by people that have master degrees sitting all behind me. With that being said, I was maimed, I was tortured and abused. I suffered a coma. I suffered lowered IQ. I lost 10 years of my life. I lost everything I owned. I was ridiculed and mocked, tortured and abused. And it should have never happened because you want to know what happened? Societal decay. But it doesn't stop there. I had a group of friends, when they graduated college, they moved out of here and they told me, "You're a nice, clean-cut guy. Come with us." And I used to be so nice and clean-cut that people hated me for how nice and clean-cut I was. I was very militant, almost, in the things I ate and the things I'd done. No drugs, no sex with strangers or individuals. No sex with men, only date women, only have sex with those women after I get to know them and make sure they're clean. Building relationships. Did not go to bars. I did go to a few bars, but only to support friends who were, they had live bands. My thing was nice, clean-cut, wholesome family fun with my friends and associates, and yes, I even done some volunteer work where I helped other people. So I was very good. And usually I trained other people. They didn't train me because my IQ is very high. And it's been that way my entire life. In fact, when I was 5 years old, I had deep philosophical debates within myself. So I went through all that hell. Maimed, tortured, abused, coma. I had burning sensation all throughout my body. That's what happens to you when you lose oxygen to your brain and you actually go into a coma. That means it can also fry the rest of your body. So I suffered, and I was lied to, tortured, abused, and thrown down the system. I lost everything I owned. This is a problem in this city. So I jumped on someone here just recently because I noticed something they were doing was causing harm to a vast array of people regardless of who they are. You know, the federal laws we have on the book. Anyway, I went out here. I spoke to a gentleman just a couple days ago. He lost his leg. He's in his 30s. A female in her 20s. She's lost her leg. Another one in her 40s. She lost her leg. Let me explain this story to you because I want to keep everybody's privacy sorted down a little bit. She goes in for what should have been a simple surgery. They tell her they want to do exploratory surgery. She tells them no. Then she gets put under. She comes back out. She's missing her leg. They tell her they chose to do exploratory surgery. So there's a lot of pain and suffering going on in this place, and I got to observe what causes such things on all the multiple levels. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because there's bad problems here, and they need to hear it, and they need to address it. And it's the same exact reason a long time ago that my friends, when they graduated college, some of them of whom I tutored, and they would have failed and not graduate college, told me, "You're such a nice, clean-cut guy, come with us." Then I get on the internet and I get to see what the problem is. And that problem is hideous. And to some people that think they're FBI or secret pony or military, or they have some sort of viewpoint, your fucking stupid little games are actually touching a big subsect of people and causing a lot of pain and suffering, and you just taught an education system to cut off the legs of 20-some-year-olds. So Russ Linquist, you can go out the door And then let's talk about this other thing that happened with the J bomb. Actually, there were a lot of people that came in to support me, and they all named themselves J. And one of them, and a lot of them, were women, but especially one that I was very concerned about her story. And she had gone through something similar, and because of me, she actually received some help. So this is mine. I understand what is mine. I understand all the problems. And then let's talk about quantum physics and quantum computers. I got to run experiments with that. It's mine. I've been working on things ever since I was a child, before they even taught it in school. And then I see how people play with things on YouTube. And things that used to not be there, all of a sudden, they are. So we have that entire problem. Now I want what belongs to me, and all this other bad stuff that I see in this city. I want you to know that these people will have to live with that bad stuff, and it makes me cry for them. It should not happen. It should not exist. And that's why I'm angry. And the problems are actually way worse than I even care to really tell you. For example, I and a couple of other guys got to listen to some people, old men, be extremely hideous. They're like 65 years old. And they spoke in the most sadistic, hideous fashion that when your ears heard it, you cringed. And then I had two more individuals next to me, and they was like, those guys are crazy. Well, those guys are professionals that have access to the networks. And we got to listen to them speak in the most hideous fashion. So that's unacceptable. And it breaks my heart. And I keep telling myself, if I just would have left with all my friends when graduation of college and went with them, that my life would be entirely different. So now I have some big responsibilities, and we're going to do this. And it's going to be done, because I'm not going to watch the suffering of others, and I'm not going to let someone else play with something and they're telling themselves, oh, it's just this. No, it's not that. And even if it was that, you don't have a right to do what you're doing. You have zero right to do that. It's something that never existed until the internet, and it's becoming an increasing problem. You cannot continue it. When I watch straight men and whatever, it doesn't matter. And when I'm watching the problem and it's happening and I know it shouldn't happen, when I'm watching professionals, not even me, professionals abuse trustees before they even walk in the room, that breaks my heart. And I used to be a very wholesome type of guy. I never, very good. In fact, so good that a lot of people did not like me, while all at the same time they loved me. When I was in my place, people were coming up all the time. In fact, I looked for the days when I could be alone. My house would be filled with people. And there was no parties and drinking and carrying on and mischief. It was sitting around, wholesome, clean fun, going to ski resorts, going out to dinners, sitting around talking, sitting in the house speaking. I used to do artwork, and I would sell it and frame it, and people would buy it. I love to create. I'm a creator, and that's what I like to do more than viewing. And I'm a very good man in all my discernments. And nobody in their 20s or 30s or even 40s should be going through the hideous mess that I see. And it definitely has nothing to do with anything important. It's a huge mess that should not exist and does exist because certain individuals want to get up and play and do all the wrong things, and they have this idea that they're going to do something. They do it not understanding what it's going to cause, and it hurts a large group of people. So this time, since I was so good before, I had to make sure that I walked in and sort of included myself on what everyone else enjoys. Isn't that sad? Because our structural society foundation should not be operating that way. It should be operating in a way for which this family that I'm watching over here should not have crazy stuff going on the internet without their awareness. But they're raising a family and having crazy stuff happen on the internet without their awareness, which will at some point affect them. And it should not be happening. That is why I've been making a huge fuss. And it needs to be resolved. Because even the people that have that don't want it, really. Because eventually it's going to come back and touch the person and the people that do that. In fact, it already has. They're doing what they're doing, not paying attention. There's a bigger fish in the pond. And then you're all in the pond and there's a big mammal that's about ready to come down and chomp you. Thankfully, most of those are on my roundtable who have the highest discernment and human rights. Unfortunately, I'm sadly and greatly disappointed in the people that I see here. Not all of them. There's some good people here. And when you walk through here, you will find many people, they know things are bad, but they also have that sense of pride where they want good things to happen. But wanting is not the same as having or making good things happen. Having pride and ignoring it doesn't make the problems go away. It just increases the problems. So after I have lost 10 years of my life, tortured, maimed, abused, and it's no fault on my own or nothing I had done, that's a problem. And when that same problem touches all these other people, because we're all focused on the same thing and they're from all walks of life in this one area, that's a huge problem. It's an astronomically huge problem. Meanwhile, I'm looking at some people, they make their focuses on just different things. So no, you don't get to toss children in the volcano, cut off their legs. Then if they come up with some sort of fuss and carry on, those professionals kill those people. And they're really not professional. Let's really get to the heart of the problem. These are people that started out as children. They then find themselves at a position where they now have access to a network, and they're children on a network. And then they abuse the trustees who do not get a chance to defend themselves. So what I'm telling you is empirical, and the good thing that came is mine and not someone else's. And I have a huge problem if I catch you mocking one of these children that are 20 some years old that lost their legs when they should have never lost their leg, or these other episodes of the same thing. I want your ass thrown in a federal prison, because that's not what they're there for. And it should have never happened. We're now getting to the point to where I'm deeply concerned that some of you can't even read a book at some point and have somebody crawling in your ass and destroying your life. So this is very important. You might find it funny. In fact, I have spoken to some people and their intelligence is not very high. They have access to the back web, and even though they get all that data, their mind cannot process it. appropriately. And that's a scary thing. That is a testament to a real problem that needs to be addressed. And I'm here to address that problem. And it hurts me inside to think if I simply didn't trust, but now I know what the problem is, and I know what to look for, and who to talk to, and how to speak to them. You know, in all honesty, I had a girl that when I was growing up, I had advanced classes. School was boring until I had advanced classes. Then I met this girl when I moved out someplace, and she was special ed, special education. But I'm a good man. I'm very good to everyone around me because I believe that everyone has potential and importance, and you just have to be patient and good. Just be good. Enjoy each other's goodness. But she had special ed classes. I was her friend. She eventually went to college. I worked with her in my own unique way because I am a scientist and I know how to approach things. And my family has education systems all around the world. Her grades shot up. And I'm proud of her. I'm very proud that she went from special education to that. But at the same extent, it is not a measure for, you know, someone to come in and say, well, everybody has to die for the special ed child. No, nobody does. And I don't think she would want it that way either, deep down inside. So there's huge problems. And when you have too much technology going on in a very small place, it becomes a disaster zone. And that breaks my heart because this used to be a wonderful place. And it's not so wonderful anymore. And instead of lying to them, they need to hear the truth and they need to start doing good. And that's the truth of the matter. And I cannot ignore truth. You know, I'm worried about the problems that I've seen on the internet and how that affects all these other people. So YouTube is definitely going to have to get that under control because these people are just like trustees living their lives, and then they're not paying attention to the insanity that's going on over in the Republic or wherever else. And then it comes in to get them. So, you know, somebody asked me what I have ever done. I have gone around to try to save people's lives. I have done some big things, huge, and work on some cutting edge technology. And at one point in time, Google was very interested in me to work on that technology. And then I got to go through an entire experiment, and I completely understand the new technology, so I would be perfect for it. But my concern is that we now have the internet and too many things are coming at one head and too many people are going in different directions when we were all going in one good direction, and it needs to go in that one good direction, and I do have the authority to say that. And that's why when I went to various places, I had hundreds of people that came up and spoke to me because this is mine. It doesn't belong to this other person that I'm seeing from time to time that wants to say that it is theirs. It's not yours. It's mine. And I'm here to do good and right. And these people want good and right. And that's the truth of the matter.